So really all you saw that day was Night Witch decks, whereas Godslayer pretty much just played Lavaloon all his way through, with to the table today, because I mean, if they keep...
Cowboy hat ready. I mean, I swear, if he takes that hat off and like runs it around in his head, like swings it in the air when he wins, he'll be my new favorite player. He lied to you, sir, because we've got a Night Witch in both decks.
He's using the P.E.K.K.A. Battle Rim, as we were discussing earlier.
Yeah. It looks like it's a deck that matches up pretty well against Night Witch, and of course Oxalate is playing a deck that looks like primarily Night Witch and Executioner are really the only things going on aside from Miner. So it looks like he's going to be playing a little bit of a spell cycle with these support troops. We'll see what Godslayer pulls out, who has I think a little bit more of a traditional coming for your tower, beat you down deck.
Yeah, and Oxalate, you can see here, he just cycled the log and the tower. I think he wanted the Miner to tank for the Executioner.
Yeah, definitely.
And that did not happen. The Miner just got there a little too late, but here comes a pretty decent-sized counter push from Godslayer.
Yeah, you saw the oops, and that's kind of what he was going for. He's like, oh, oops, I didn't really need to play those archers because the tower was already locked on. That said, this Baby Dragon hasn't taken a shot yet. Might get a decent, no, it's not going to get damage on the tower, it'll go for the Executioner, but killing that Executioner is still pretty good. Oxalate's defense, nuts, or should I say Night Witch's defense. That Baby Dragon spent like 4 attacks on just the random Garbo that was hanging around on the field.
Yeah, and Oxalate also split the bats in the center, so the Baby Dragon was focused on the skeletons and then the bats from the Night Witch. So there, as they were coming out one at a time, the Baby Dragon had a lot to go through, and he was just chucking them down one at a time.
And nothing gets by Big Mama's house, so P.E.K.K.A. comes in, chops up that Executioner in 2 swings, walks back a little bit, decides to give the Miner a piece of her mind. And it looks like that was a tornado, but was that really the best tornado we could have seen? The tower wasn't getting shot that much. Now it doesn't happen for the Executioner, but maybe he doesn't need it.
I think what Oxalate... Oh, the P.E.K.K.A. got a hit on the Executioner, but I think what Oxalate was trying to do was he didn't want the P.E.K.K.A. to take down the Night Witch just yet. He wanted the Night Witch to get a little bit more damage, so he tornadoed it back so the Night Witch could hit a couple more times before the P.E.K.K.A. took it down.
Godslayer has a significant elixir advantage, 4 to 5 elixir advantage. Even though his tower is down a little bit of damage, I think he's really happy with his status having more elixir. And as we get into double elixir time, that generally favors the bigger, more expensive deck. In this case, of course, P.E.K.K.A. Battle Ram, Baby Dragon, Night Witch.
Yeah, and while that was a great lightning, the timing of the Executioner from Oxalate, the lightning was not able to hit the Executioner. So there's a pretty healthy Executioner going down that left-hand lane. And
that's why we see the Baby Dragon coming back. The Baby Dragon, along with the tanking of the tower, should be pretty good work here. Trying to, oh no, uses that tornado. Is pulling it back a little bit, letting the Baby Dragon take some significant hits. Here's another Executioner already, and we just count the cards until Tornado comes back. 1 card, 2 card. He needs to play 3 cards, there's that, and a 4th card, and he'll have Tornado back in hand.
There's lightning, and the P.E.K.K.A. does fall to the tower before it can get a strike, and Oxalate is looking good for a counter push.
And you see how dominant Tornado can be against these beatdown decks. That's part of the reason why I think we're going to see that card get changed on Monday to have a slightly lower duration. It's just so good at stopping these big tank pushes.
Yeah, and that log is going to help knock the Night Witch back and take her down, so the bats will die to the poison, so there's no bats on the field now.
I wonder if against these sort of plays where you know your opponent's going to put 8 elixir on defense down, if you don't start to split push a little bit. You know, like put the Battle Ram in the other lane, let the Baby Dragon archers eat the tornado. It's unfortunate, but that's what you got to deal with. And then on the other side, you can put pressure with the Battle Ram.
Yeah, and that Miner is getting some good chip damage on the right-hand corner of that tower. Now we have, oh, great tornado right there from Oxalate. The Executioner is going to clip it. Expect to see a lightning here from Godslayer to take down the, oh, no.
Oh, that's interesting. I wonder why not. He's obviously super worried about incoming Miners trying to block them as much as possible.
Yeah, and that Miner got quite a bit of damage on that top left-hand side, and Godslayer tried to switch it up, but it looks like Oxalate will be able to take this. And with a Miner log, there's the Miner, there's the log. If that Miner doesn't finish it off, there's the poison. Oxalate takes game 1 against Godslayer.
And that was just methodical defense and counterattacking. I mean, we saw, you know, Godslayer was building up these big pushes, but Oxalate just stuck to what was working. Executioner, Tornado, was willing to eat a lightning if it meant stopping that whole big push. And slowly but surely, the counterattack of Miner, poison, log, just chipped away at the tower over the course of 4 minutes, took the game.
Yeah, and one thing Oxalate did very well was he was able to split his bats that were spawning from the Night Witch in the skeletons to really distract that Baby Dragon, so the Baby Dragon really didn't get a lot of value.
Yeah, there's a lot of times where Baby Dragon, even though it's not a huge, he's supposed to be slaying, so if he wants to live up to his name, he's got to turn around this second game. Still playing the P.E.K.K.A. Battle Ram Night Witch deck here in game 2. Oxalate has switched to Giant Night Witch Lightning.
Yeah, and he also has a Miner in there, which is interesting because there's no support. I guess when the Night Witch dies and the bats spawn in, then the miner can tank for those, kind of like a minion horde, miner minion horde push. So we'll see what Oxalate is going to have in mind for this. Oxalate running 2 spells, Lightning and Zap. Godslayer running 3 spells, Lightning, Zap, and Log.
Great reactive play there by Oxalate. He saw the P.E.K.K.A. in the very far back, and that means, hey, that's the card. P.E.K.K.A. would counter Giant. Time to play my Giant on the other lane, and the Giant Knight, which we've heard so much about, is in here. Lightning comes down, takes out some of it. Zap cleans up the bats, but that's just a half-health Giant now, and that's nothing to sneeze at either.
No, I don't think it'll take the tower. Actually, it might. It's going to be very close. 32. 32. It didn't take the tower. And it was very close, and a great defense on the P.E.K.K.A. by Oxalate.
And we mentioned P.E.K.K.A.'s just not a great offensive card. It's at its best when it gets some value on defense. Like, for example, if P.E.K.K.A. kills Giant, that's a 7 elixir card killing a 5 elixir card. If on the counterattack, it just gets stopped by Skeleton Army, you're like, well, whatever, I spent 7, they spent 8. That's not the end of the world. But here we saw 7 spent by P.E.K.K.A. His opponent defended with only Mega Minion and Miner, which is 6 elixir, not even like a real strong defense. P.E.K.K.A. didn't get close. You know, like
not even.
P.E.K.K.A. on its own on offense is pretty unimpressive, and of course, by playing it and getting out of his hand, he left himself open to Oxalate's Giant counterattack.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if a miner comes in here from Oxalate, but it looks like the Baby Dragon is going to change that decision from Oxalate.
Yeah, I think he realized that even with the miner, he's not looking at a ton of damage, and he might eat a big counterattack if he does. Especially if you're worried about that P.E.K.K.A. You throw a miner in, if the P.E.K.K.A. intercepts it, that is a way for P.E.K.K.A. to get a lot of value on defense.
Yep, because
stopping some of your damage.
Then it'll take down the miner and finish off anything else he has going. And Oxalate played the Giant on the right-hand side, so Godslayer will react with the P.E.K.K.A. A great counter to the Giant.
This is a much better situation. Now, Oxalate kind of has to go for that tower, because, yeah, he's going to take this one down right here, but this could go to a 2-tower setup. He does have the damage lead there, but this is Godslayer's chance. He's got his tank, he's got his defense. If he wants to win this game, this is the time to do it.
Oh, great lightning there. The Zap doesn't quite finish off the Baby Dragon, but the Archers will come in and finish it off. Ooh. Giant coming down to distract the P.E.K.K.A. And one Archer is actually focused onto the Mega Minion.
And that was good to clean up the Mega Minion, which could really cause trouble. And we see this P.E.K.K.A., like, the P.E.K.K.A. is tanking the tower, but it's also taking just an absurd amount of damage after a while.
Yeah, a Zap comes down to reset the Battle Ram, and the Miner's going to come finish off the Battle Ram. And the Baby Dragon was still alive, doing loads of damage to the Barbarians.
Oh, but it was splashing on the tower for a hot second there. Good games coming out of Godslayer. I think he knows that at this point, there's just nothing he can really do. Cards like the Giant come down, and even if they don't fight back, they absorb so much damage that it's just not possible for Godslayer to do 1,600 damage to the tower in the next 3 seconds. Oxalate is going to take that game 2-0 and move to 1-1 in his matches so far today.
Yeah, I don't think we've gone to a game 3 today. Have we?
Right. I don't think so. You're right. I think it's all been 2-0 matches.
Yeah.
That's insane.
I would expect there to be a little closer matchups.
But, well, we might see that as well as some of these players who picked up wins. You know, Rice is now 2-0, Batman's 1.
But in my book, he's a winner with that cowboy hat on. Yeah, I really like that a lot.
Agree.
Trying to bring out the Texan in me.
Loving it. Oxalate sitting down. We have Namaste and the cowboy up there together. Some good sportsmanship.
We've only got a few guys here, but we've apparently got a couple of...
And I promised you guys that I would explain a little bit more about the scoreboard once we had some points on the board. So now, as you can see, we've got a little bit more going. This makes a little bit more sense. Rice in the lead and Batman following right behind. Something to note, there's some color coded here. This is the round robin stage, and as they move on, they'll be moving into our finals. Essentially, every time you win a match, which is the best of 3 per game, you're going to earn a point, and you're going to get to move up the leaderboard. And if you don't win, you're probably going to move down. If you end in the green, so if you're top 2 by the end of round robin, you get preferential seeding moving into our finals, which means you get a bye. You're essentially immediately into the semis. You get a boost in front of everybody else. But if you're in the bottom 2, you're done for. You don't even actually make it to the finals. You're not. Your dreams are crushed. You're pretty much done here. And as far as the Blues concerned, they're fighting for the best seed. So obviously, as you move on to bracket further on, the higher seed you are, the more opportunity you get to play someone that's a lower seed and maybe didn't perform as well.